you live from the Metropolitan Police Academy. It's the 10-Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I made a machine, and Andy made it go. Chris blew a fart and blew the whole damn thing apart. With me this week, will you two morons knock it off? We've got an international podcast going on over here. First of all, what are you looking at, you peckerhead? It's Chris.
So I just sort of cracked me up to the entire film.
Lines. And secondly, don't ever touch his balls without asking. It's Andy.
That's the moral of the story.
That's mine as well.
Hey!
Spoilers.
There's a preview for the moral of the story.
Join us next week on the 10-Point Podcast. We are the 10-Point Podcast. We review movies mainly, and specifically at the moment just movies, because there's very little else to review over here. You can find us at 10pointpodcast.com. You can find us on all your favorite podcast apps, specifically on Spotify. That's where you can get video versions there as well. Video versions available on YouTube, the 10-Point broadcast video version, so you can see Chris's very scary background that he has got.
He's creeping.
It's
better than the one when he was rogering him from behind.
That might make an appearance later on, but we'll find out. Anyway,
just break my laptop. So no.
Just Google 10-Point Podcast and you will find something related to us that will link you to all of our other places and things. Check out the news from this week if you want.
It was pretty boring.
It was pretty boring. You'd probably come for this episode, but if you like the news, go listen to it, because we're mainly just going to, kill time for half an hour. And I'm going to say half an hour, a long 20 minutes, I think. And that's normally we're talking about what else we've watched, so you can find other recommendations and otherwise over there, because the 10-Point Podcast episodic episodes are mainly just our 10 points of discussion, where we discuss the film. The point this week, point number 1, is the 1987 crime comedy Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol. Brought to us by Warner Brothers Pictures, the films that we have done that they made prior to Police Academy.
Should we just clear up one thing? Just
you haven't missed Police Academy 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You haven't missed them on this podcast. If you go through all 6 seasons, we have not done 1, 2, or 3.
Don't pause and think,
and then Bruce and start halfway through a franchise.
Yeah, we'll get, yeah, not halfway exactly, but I suppose it is halfway when you think of it. Anyway, Warner Brothers Pictures, prior to making Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol, things we've done: The Shining, Gremlins, The Goonies, and Little Shop of Horrors, and then it made Police Academy 4. But they've made many, many things that we've done before. The film Police Academy 4, written by Gene Quintano. He's famous for writing Police Academy 3, Back in Training, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, Loaded Weapon 1, that National Lampoon movie, and Sudden Death, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie that seems to come up on like a monthly basis on the podcast. Directed by Jim Drake. I tried hard with Jim Drake here. He is a director. He has directed, this is what he's known for, being a director, 9 episodes of the television show Buffalo Bill, not a cowboy movie, but an 80s sort of comedy movie about someone in Buffalo called Bill. 8 episodes of the Golden Girls television show. Then he directed Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol. So it's not the cream of the crop in the directing world here, old Jim Drake. After that, Cannonball Fever. And then 63 episodes of Night Court, the television show. And then the last thing I could find of any note that he directed, 7 episodes of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
I used to watch that show. It was amazing.
I thought you two would maybe be the generation that you might have seen that.
Oh, I've never watched that. Jesus.
And they are the people behind Police Academy 4. In front of the camera, starring as Mahoney. I've taken the top 4 people from the credits here because it's an ensemble cast, but these are the ones. It wasn't alphabetical order. Nobody came before Police Academy 4. These are the top 4 people in order. Steve Guttenberg is Mahoney, famous for Police Academy 1, 2, 3, and 4, Short Circuit, 3 Men and a Baby / Little Lady, and that's pretty much what he's famous for. We have covered him on the podcast before, so I won't go too deeply into his back catalogue. Second co-star, Police Academy 4, Bubba Smith as Hightower, famous for Police Academy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's pretty much what he's famous for, outside of the fact that he played in the NFL as a defensive end and defensive tackle for 9 seasons between 1967 and 1976. So I'm assuming he was a reasonably famous NFL player and then got to be second billed in the Police Academy movies. Thirdly, as Jones, Michael Winslow, famous for Police Academy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Police Academy Mission to Moscow, which will now be called Police Academy 7 because it's not actually called 7, but it is the 7th one. And also for being in Spaceballs, where he has like one scene. And that's the end of his list. And the fourth person, as Tackleberry, David Graff, famous for Police Academy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and being in one episode of every single television show in the 1990s. Absolutely. I mean, sometimes I joke, sometimes like literally everything. I think Andy will throw a random show at me. He was probably in it, yes.
Target SG-1.
I think so. I didn't find out till my research. He actually died in 2001. David Graff. He is sadly no longer with us.
We've already killed a few people in this show, so we're kind of half all right.
But yes, there are probably about another 10 people who are Police Academy regulars, but seemingly they are the biggest stars who are in it. Police Academy 4, on a budget of $17 million, opened in the US, $8.5 million in its first weekend. Its final US gross, $28 million. Its final worldwide gross, $77 million. So it made a profit.
Moneymaker.
Made a profit. Hence how there were another 3. Released in the US on the 3rd of April, 1987. It made it to the UK on the 26th of June, 1987.
I'm going to bet a left testicle this didn't win an Oscar.
At the 1988 awards season, it registered at one of our major awards.
The Oscars, don't be the Oscars.
It was nominated at the 1988 Razzie Awards. Thankfully for Andy.
It's a long time since we had a Razzie.
I could spend the rest of the podcast having you guess what was nominated at the Razzies, and you would not guess it. And I don't want to start off a guessing spree. I will just tell you. Nominated for Worst Original Song from Police Academy.
Citizens on Patrol.
No.
What?
Let's Go to Heaven in My Car by Brian Wilson. I'm assuming famously of the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
It's the song that plays in the background in the mall when the police catch up to David Spade on his skateboard.
Amazing.
And apparently that was an original song made for the 4th Police Academy movie.
Oh, well, I'm happy it got nominated for a Razzie then, because the rest of the film's fine.
It did. It did not win. It lost to, in Best Original Song, I Want Your Sex by George Michael from Beverly Hills Cop 2. The only other nominating, it didn't get anything at the Saturn Awards. Obviously, comedies are always shunned at the Saturn Awards. Only one other awards nomination, and that was Michael Winslow getting nominated somewhere. I'm assuming it might be because of his hilarious voice, noises rather than his great acting.
I reckon the case of blah, 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 blah.
I reckon so as well.
Exactly, that's my noises. Could be some pointy awards in the future for this thing.
It could be. So that was that's awards dealt with. Synopsis of Police Academy 4, Cop.
Written by Chris.
Written by Nick.
Yeah,
I was
he's back.
very happy to find Nick had made it to the 4th Police Academy movie.
You know, you're onto a good pick when Nick picks a film.
Nick's a good pick, yes, exactly. Nick says, convinced that his loyal police force is overworked and above all understaffed, silver-haired Commandant Eric Lassard comes up with a bold idea. Why not recruit eager civilians to lend a hand in crushing crime? With this in mind, the ambitious Citizens on Patrol crime-fighting program comes to life. Nevertheless, the duplicitous and always slimy arch rival of the Police Academy (brackets 1984), Captain Harris, is bent on sabotaging the operation, having ulterior motives. Can Officer Mahoney and the rest of the team get the recruits into shape and get, once more, Lassard out of a tight spot? He didn't say the thing, but he did say the thing earlier on. Who picked? Chris picked. Chris, please take us through your thinking, your theory, and every minute detail about your theme for this season and how this film fits into it. Please be ready for follow-up questions.
I am. Well, after the success of The Mummy and the resurgence of Brendan Fraser, I thought, do you know what? I want Bobcat Goldthwait to get the same resurgence.
Okay.
So I went a roundabout way of doing it by.
Well, I did say it was risky. We could kill them.
I know. I was willing to take the risk. I want the man to come back. I miss him. But yeah, I went a roundabout way of doing it by doing what was the first one? Clerks 3, as Bob.
Clerks 2.
No, Clerks 3.
No, we did 2.
No, I watched
Clerks
Clerks 2.
2.
Yeah, Clerks 2. You're right. Clerks 2. I can't remember on fucking films. Obviously, as Bob. That's the one that was going to slip up.
Hold on a minute here. Right, okay. Obviously, that's Bob, right? Can you please connect Clerks 2 to the word Bob?
I know. It wasn't until after I picked it, I was like, I should have just done Jane, Silent Bob, which is what I was going to do, but I get moaned at for not picking sequels. So I knew Bob was in this, so that's why I was... fuck it. You've all had tenuous links to your films in the past, so
you could have had Jane, Silent Bob because Clerks was set after Jane, Silent Bob.
Yes, so I didn't know that, though, because I hadn't seen them.
Carry on, Chris. I still have questions, but carry on.
So the next one was Bob. Catch Me If You Can. The cat is Catch. Bob Cat. Then it was, what was the other one? Can't remember. Oh, yeah, City Slickers 2. The Curse of Curly's Gold. The Gold. Does it have a little bit of creative license here? I've missed out this.
You have, yes.
And Wait for Waiting. So it's Bobcat Gold Wait.
And then Police Academy 4.
Yeah. Well, he's not in Police Academy 1.
Correct.
He's briefly in Police Academy 2. Again, I could have done Police Academy 3 because he's in it more. But I did 4 because he's used a lot more than he is in the other 2. I don't know what I really could have done
3.
Scrooge. What? He's in 3.
I know. So he's used a lot more in 3 than he is 4.
No, he's used this more than he is in 3.
Nah.
I think so.
Chris did watch all 4 of them.
To be fair, I know exactly why Chris picked this film, and it will come up. I guarantee.
Exactly.
There's one scene and one scene only why Chris picked this.
I'm pretty sure we watched this at his house, and I was in fucking tears watching it.
It was.
An X-Fest.
It was.
Yeah.
We did all the police academies in like couple of X-Fests, a couple of weeks back to back.
I don't remember one though. I can't tell you anything but one.
You're probably hammered.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll be one scene and it'll be a high point. I guarantee it's why you picked this film.
And
you mentioned one of my questions, which was Scrooged would have been absolutely perfect.
I can't remember. I know he's in it, but I couldn't remember what he did. I don't think he's in as much.
And my main question is going to be, okay, Bobcat Goldthwait. I'll at this point you've mentioned it, so I'll ignore the fact that it's spelt wrong. Why didn't you just pick 5 of his films?
Because I don't know if he's got 5 films.
Yes, he does. Police Academy 1, 2, 3. Well, 2, 3, 4.
If I did 5. That, it'd be more obvious about my theme. And I'm sick he's getting it in the first go. So
you picked a film for your first film that least actually doesn't work, basically.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until I picked that I thought, Joe, this is what I'm going to do.
If you did Jane, Silent Bob Strike Back, we would have maybe let you off a little tiny bit more.
And the other problem with your theory on the whole Bob situation is Jane, Silent Bob Strike Back came out before Clerks 2 did.
Yes,
so you actually would have been fine using Jane, Silent Bob.
Yeah, no, I didn't realise there was a whole bloody furious universe until afterwards. I'm sure I've mentioned more than once in the podcast that I've fluffed it myself. So
yes, you did many a time because
I'm still allowing it.
I just wanted it all clarified that your theme was Bobcat Goldthwait, but he's only in one of the films, and the rest of his name is split. It's just I think that
spelt in a movie title.
You have very successfully chosen an unguessable theme, Chris. So congratulations, you did it.
And just to clarify my theme, this doesn't fit in my theme.
It doesn't. Okay, I have completely lost track of all films that do and don't fit in your theme now, and I'm sticking with my answer. I'm still got one to come. So anyway, had we seen it before? I'm not sure if I've seen this one before.
Yeah,
the thing that surprised me was I think this is the one I've seen the most.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Me too.
There is a bit of crossover, because in this one they're training a new batch of recruits.
That's what they do in the third one.
Maybe I have seen this one, but yes,
that's what they do in the first one.
Also, the first and third. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I don't actually know which one I've seen and which bits I've seen and all that. Which channel would we see this on?
Channel 4.
I think this is BBC.
I think it's a bit more softer than the Channel 4. I think it's very easy viewing. So it might.
Also, I didn't realise until I watched it. Police Academy 1 is rated R.
Yeah,
the other one
it would be
dropped in.
Aye, it's because it's got titties in it.
This one is 2. It's got some titties.
Fair enough. On that note, which version did we watch? Well, we all watched the same one because there only really is one for home video watching, because all edits are minor ones for TV broadcasts like pre and post, pre-watershed and working around regulations. I think the UK one, when it's broadcast on TV, they cut out him being all like super glue. I think it's because it's for Andy's favourite product placement thing. I think that's why that's changed, but I could be wrong. Okay, on to point 2 on the podcast. The high points. Have at it, Chris.
Yeah, the opening credits. To me, that Police Academy theme is like Andy's Mortal Kombat thing.
It's
as
pretty
soon
good.
as the drums start, I'm like, I'm happy.
I mean, I do like the cast sing it. I'll give them that credit. Especially if you watch all the other Police Academies, it's like, all right, yeah.
Oh, you mean the song? I mean,
Yeah.
I thought Chris meant the theme, which is what I did.
No, yeah, that's what I
do. Well, I was singing it earlier on.
But then, like, it rolls straight on. Yeah,
and it moves straight into that song.
Yeah.
Citizens on Patrol song. That's my high point.
Citizens on Patrol. Yes, it does. Yeah, it starts off positively. I'm not sure what was going on behind it necessarily. Like Steve Guttenberg and Jonesy in the car, like they were doing things. But
I don't understand the whole hand thing.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff going on in the car, but yeah, it kicked off well. Carry on, Chris.
I don't know. There's a lot of high points. I'm just going to come out and say it. My man Zed. Anytime he's on screen, he just cracks me up. He is as good a facial actor as I think Jack Black is.
All right, okay. At this point, I don't really know Bobcat Goldthwait. I don't really know him, and seeing him in this film, I'm like, I don't know what I've seen him in before, but I know him, and it might just be Police Academy.
Yeah, he's dialed, like, everybody associates him with like the screaming and the weird noise, but he's toned it down. The second one, he was quite every second word just him screaming.
Yeah, because he was a bad guy in it. So,
but like and the third one and the fourth one,
he has a unique style. I think he sticks to it. I'll say that.
Yeah, like he does it for like stand up and stuff because that's what people want. But nowadays he doesn't do any of that stuff. He's just
I bet
it's just a bit that's just kind of snowballed.
I mean, that is kind of his voice. Like he does talk like that. It's not acting, but he does a lot of
over exaggerates it.
He does over exaggerate it, but he does have a kind of stutter and he kind of does the high and low. Is where he is. He doesn't scream and stuff like that. Yeah. He does that.
There's the bit when they're talking about Citizens on Patrol and he's holding the fish and he's just like, he's a real nice fish. He looks like he's like just trying to eat the thing and he starts kissing it.
Why is he eating a fish?
I don't know. It's also he's telling Sarge, who's this big comment on what his program is, and he's just, like his facial expressions there cracking me up. He's just like
I was very up and down on him. There were some points where I very much enjoyed what he was doing. Like I think I enjoyed the scenes more where he was being, I'm a normal person, and all of a sudden we'd be like, yeah, and everyone would kind of be like, what is this guy doing? More than the scenes where like the woman was like loving him for who he is and all that. It's like, no, he's absolutely bizarre. So I want everyone to react to him in this stunned, shocked way more than accepting him for who he is. Like it's a horrible thing to say, but I don't want him to be accepted for who he is. I want everyone to be like, what is this guy on? Keep him away from me.
I'll just talk about it now. The scene that fucking killed me is the watch.
Mickey!
It killed him!
Genuinely, I still remember this. And I was sitting there and Chantel was trying to, like, same disbelief you had, Bruce, going, why is he picking this film? And I was like, it's for this one scene. And she's like, what is the scene? I was like, it's coming up. And then it's like they all jump into the pool to go after what you call her, and it's like, no, that's not the scene. Wait for it. And then obviously he gets out, and I was like, it's the watch. And she's like, what about the watch? And there's like maybe about 30 seconds before he realizes his watch is done. And then he just starts screaming. I was like, that's it. And she's like, what? And I was like, honest to God, that cracks Chris up every single time.
I don't know why. I watched his, but the tears were streaming down my face. I was fucking dying.
Genuinely was.
See. So that, as Chris always says, did that blow your funny fuse, Chris? Was that?
I did. Like, I don't know why, but it blew my funny fuse, and I still laugh about it now. And then, literally after that, we was talking to Captain Harris, and he's just like, "Go get yourself sorted out, jerk." And he goes, "What did you say?" "Oh, he said bye." "No, I didn't. I said jerk." I thought it was really clear. I was like, "Jerk." Fucking cracks me up.
See, my favourite bit of, like, since we're talking about him now, this is the talk about Zed bit. I actually like him in the slam poetry bit.
Yeah, that's perfect because everyone's like, "What is this guy about?"
Just when he turns up and it's like they think he's a bad guy, and I thought he was peeing against the sign to start off with as well.
Yeah, there was something weird. I don't know what he was doing. Yeah,
and it's just like when she like starts talking and he's like he screams at her and he's like, "Oh, just wear normal clothes. It makes people more relaxed."
Yeah.
And then when she's doing her poetry, he's like crying. He's like obviously listened to the whole thing. Everybody else is kind of zoned out, but he's like fully invested into it.
That's what is good about him. You could tell he's like a really nice guy. Like he's there to listen to the poetry and to be nice, not. But I'm assuming it's kind of like playing up Tourette's. He just can't help himself to do the things he does and act the way that he is. Like,
But he was a bad guy in the second one, so
yeah.
It was what was the other one? When he's just literally he's just before this bit when he's having his nice romantic moment with I can't remember her name, and they get really close to a kiss, and the camera just flashes like. Wah!
I just like anything when he's like somebody talks to him and he gets a fright and he screams at them as well.
Yeah. Laura,
it was the duck.
Yeah.
He's like play this nice little song, and then the duck keeps quacking. He's like, "Shut up!"
It's just all these little things. Even like when he's not even on screen, when like they're flying and it's like, or he's moving the toilet, and then it's like, watch the plane. Oh my god, the humanity.
yeah.
It's just all that kind of stuff. Like even when he's not on screen, he does have some of the better lines in this.
Yeah, this is why I picked it, because I think he's used more in this than he is in third and the second one.
But therefore probably any other film that he's in.
Well, let's roll it back before Chris just has like a Ryan Reynolds appreciation on Bob.
A Z appreciation hour.
Right, I'm gonna go back a little bit to near the start. The skateboard scene, like through the mall, Tony Hawk, David Spade. Oh, it just reminded me of Gleaming the Cube, and that's a banging film.
Never heard of it.
I'm aware of it. Honestly, this skateboarding scene, I have to disagree. In my low points, it is like the center of my low points.
What?
We have watched this. This is a low point for me, skateboard. We have watched a lot of hard to watch movies, whether it be horrifically bad movies or scary movies or that sort of stuff. But the skateboarding scene in Police Academy 4, I think it's the cringiest thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
This is what Power Rangers was based on. The Power Rangers
was
based on this.
I got Power Ranger vibes when they're jumping over the thing.
They're all matching colours. I was like, this is it. This is the 80s skateboarding. Tony Hawk.
But it wasn't the 80s. That was the thing. It's painted as being cool, which I don't even think it was then, and it's absolutely not 30 years later. And it's
You're just old. You don't understand how cool things are.
Old? I was like 3 when this film came out. No, and the fact that they're all like, one's bright yellow, one's pink.
It was the Power Rangers.
The Power Rangers did it better.
Power Rangers.
There was not much great about the Power Rangers.
I love that scene. Like I said, it's not for that scene, but it reminded me of Gleaming the Cube, and that's one of my favourite films.
Fair enough. That might be good. But the fact that this went on, it was like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 minutes long, this scene.
I don't remember it going on as long as that.
And it's all because this is the cool hip thing that all the young cats are doing now, groovy.
See, told you, cats will laugh.
So it's like, this is like, it is the center of my low points, was this horrible skateboarding scene, just absolutely jammed into the middle of this film. It's about police officers. Oh yeah, what's cool with young people nowadays? Skateboarding. Oh, we'll throw a 5-minute long skateboarding scene in the middle of the film. They'll love that. Yeah,
I don't think Gleaming the Cube's for you.
Maybe not.
My next one, well, it's just before this, is The Return of Captain Harris. He was a big miss from 2 and 3. He was probably one of the best bits in Police Academy 1.
He is, I think, even watching these as a youngster, where I'd be, something like 10 years old, maybe, when I was watching them, he was still my favourite character.
Yeah.
Because the best stuff happens when he's on screen, which is the crusty old mean guy getting what's coming to him happens anytime he's ever on screen. Like, he never gets it. And I very much enjoy now the Captain Harris Proctor relationship, like the Mr. Burns Smithers relationship that they have, is really funny, and I very much enjoyed it. That was my highest high point, was just Captain Harris with Proctor as a little kind of addition.
And also, you always talk about how you always say key phrases. I can't just say move it once, always move it. Every single time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like Andy's already talked about it. Is G.W. Bailey. You mentioned as well. You don't touch my balls. Just little like innuendos like that. It's so funny.
That one was very forced, though. That is one of the problems with the film, is how forced some of the jokes are. But I'm sure we'll get into that later. I've got an actual other high point. Chris kind of touched on it there. The Portaloo prank.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my next one.
An all-timer of a prank, and I was like, what are they going to do with it? Like, they're going to put it on the roof? No, they're not going to put it on the roof.
That's a lot of effort, though, for a prank.
I know, it's like, and then like, and it's popped him down. It's like, what is that? Is he on the side of a football pitch? Oh, they're going to have people run and knock it over. That's what we. And then to lift the lid off, to be like a whole audience. But it is the cherry on top is that all rise for the national anthem, so he has to stand up is great. It's a brilliant prank. However, surely there's a case for dismissal as police officers and sergeants.
A misuse
doing
of power as well, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, taking a crane over, stopping all of whatever's going on with the crane to interrupt. Like, the security breaches of taking a crane and dropping something onto quite a reasonably sized baseball ground. Yeah, I think there would be major, major problems.
That's always one of the major problems with all the police academies, though, as well.
Yeah.
All right, I've got another high point, and Bruce probably hates it. The Baba Yaga bit in the back of the van.
It was fine.
Good, because I love that bit. It's the bit that always sticks with me randomly as well. Like, Hightower's completely underused in this film compared to the rest of them. But yeah, just this one scene is perfect because these little twats, they're like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do this. And it's the whole build up to it. That scene was actually pretty good when like Jonesy and that go up the top. There's a little gunfight, which I don't understand. A couple of gunfires and straight into a body bag come down. It's like, surely you're going to work out something's going on. But it kind of shows you how stupid they actually were.
Yeah.
I just love that little chainsaw.
Jason coming out of the body bag was not expecting that. That's a cameo, unexpected cameo. Jason. Yeah, that was fine. That was all right. Yeah, I was happy to see Hightower doing something because he was one of the ones I always remembered from whichever films I'd seen.
Yeah,
he's more used in previous films.
Yeah, I guess he's a lot nearer his NFL days in those days, I guess. I have one more high point, but I'm going to let Chris batter out a few more.
On you go.
Okay.
I'm kind of stuck, so.
All right. I've got Simon Says. I thought Simon Says was quite a good scene. Again, my guy
That's
Proctor.
definitely coming up the greatest plan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good point. However, it's a high point, but ninjas? Like,
I knew that
They
was
come out
coming.
of nowhere.
ninjas. Like, it brought it down. And it's the fact that they all come out and we've got the upper hand on the police, and the ninjas are all like, ha! Like, they're pointing at the one gun between them, so all the ninjas are like, I'm going to do ninja moves on you. So yeah, that was my last. Are we all at high points?
Oh well, I'll say Jones.
I'm out.
Jones's voices.
Well, that comes
noises.
perfect because I've actually got a midpoint here, in between highs and lows. Michael Winslow's noises are a midpoint for me. I could put them in either, but plead your case for high points, Chris.
Well, I'm obviously in high points because I met him. He did a few at a show in, I think it was Manchester, whether that. He did a little stand-up.
Didn't you do the take on him once, Bruce, as well?
I've definitely done take on him before, yeah. At one of his talks. Yes.
Aye, you didn't take him, but yeah.
I kind of agree with your midpoint because he does do the same things over and over again in the previous films and this. Right. He does occasionally kind of tweak them and add to them, but that's a great talent.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Which is so my case for being midpoint is it's a high point because he makes great noises and they sound like what they're supposed to sound like, and you can tell that it's him making the noise. It's not like him going like that and then playing like a foghorn noise. You can tell it's actually him doing it. However, none of them sound right in the context of the scene. So him going like making the crowd noise didn't even sound like a fake crowd noise within the context that it just sounded like him making that noise with his mouth, but it sounded like him making, and then lots of other ones just didn't quite fit. Him doing the fart noise. Why did everyone?
I just in every film.
Why did they all think it was Captain Harris on the other side of the room that was farting when it would have come from him? And also, it didn't sound like it. Just like it's tough for me to make it high point, but
it was when he does stuff like that. Every automatic goes, "Oh, I can smell that." You're like, he made a noise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no smell to it.
And of course, Captain Harris got, I don't know, contempt of court for not farting in a courtroom as well. But yeah, he's very good and very impressive, and the noises are good. It doesn't quite fit in any of the scenes he did them into me. Or maybe
but he's a really nice guy.
Oh yeah, by all means, yes.
He loved the fact that he's being two Scottish people.
Yeah, I had to pick him up for the Fringe Festival multiple times at that show, like 2 nights in a row.
That's right.
Because he was at the Fringe and then he did our show afterwards, so I had to keep going picking him up.
But yeah, nice man and very talented. But yeah,
yes,
it's the film's fault, not his fault. It's the editor's fault, I think.
Well, he got through to the America's Got Talent finals. He was in one of the finalists in last year's America's Got Talent.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's not really talent. He doesn't have to go into that.
Doesn't have to prove himself.
Well, no, because basically apparently he was saying like the acting's dried up and all that, and he wants to try and rekindle one last thing. So yeah, they got him all the way through to the finals again.
Good.
He doesn't do it in this one, but his Jimi Hendrix is fucking brilliant.
Yes, he's amazing at Jimi Hendrix.
Because on the front of I was doing a bit of research on him, and one of his things he's in is his stand-up shows, and the front cover is him looking like Hendrix.
Yeah.
So
He does the is it the guitar or the microphone that does a squeal. It's probably his peak.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Like I said, watching him in real life do it, it's like he can definitely blow some speakers. He's amazing at it, like manipulating stuff like that.
Yeah. Right, we better go on to low points then. What we thought the worst bits and things of the film were. I can
Let me
lead off with
finish
your
because
list.
this is going to sound awful, but the entire movie is just a rehash of the first and to a slightly less extent the third,
Right.
but with
Okay.
a lower age rating.
Does that mean the second one is above the rest? Or
No, well, it's just because the first one is the new group are coming in. You've got Mahoney and Jones, Hightower, and all that. They're coming through. The second one is the gang that they were after.
Yeah, because the second one doesn't actually have any that is their first it's the first lot's first mission.
They're not actually at the academy. They're at the police.
And then the third one is new people coming in again, Zed and stuff like that. And then this one is rather new people coming in. They're getting citizens to do it.
Yeah, so is the
But still,
first
new people
1,
come
3,
in.
and
Yes.
4 are just the same thing, just kind of rehashed.
yeah. Right. Okay. So yeah, an unoriginal non-idea of the film is a low point. Okay, I concur.
Right, my first low point is straight after the banging songs, the main song, and then that the rap
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, is two well-trained police officers instantly crash their car. I don't understand it. I know it's meant to be a comedy joke, but Mahoney's meant to be great, Jonesy's great, and they crash very easily.
I've got to say, if you're doing a tier list of who are actually the good police and who are the bad, who are bad at being a police, I think Mahoney and Jones are probably the top of the list, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
the best ones. They do the least. The least often the butt of the jokes and doing things wrong. Normally they're making fun of everybody else, and for them to immediately crash the car is a bad look. So my first low point, it's not a low point, but I just stick it somewhere. I have absolutely zero recollection of Sweet Chuck.
Oh,
Right,
you don't
third-
know Sweet Chuck.
he's
He's
the
a
third one.
belter.
I remember Gutenberg, I remember the guy that does the voices, I remember Hightower, Tackleberry, squeaky voiced woman, blonde haired woman, I even
Boobs.
remember Zed, Lassard,
We haven't talked about that high point.
and boobs.
Zed, I remember Harris, Proctor, I remember everybody. Absolutely no recollection of Sweet Chuck whatsoever. So
He comes into the second one. He's getting terrorized by Zed,
Yeah,
and then him and Zed are rooming together in the academy in the third one, and that's their partnership. They're
basically
on-screen-
partners in this one. Yeah.
They're the on-screen chemistry to them is fucking hilarious. There's not so much in this one.
this is a proper deep dive for Chris. It's
Yeah.
he is getting right into this comedy. It's yes, the chemistry of it and this
I know.
feel.
So I don't know if it affected my enjoyment of the Sweet Chuck scenes was not actually knowing him, but I think maybe the third time that he was unlucky or at the butt end of a joke, I was starting to get bored of seeing his little face on the screen. And he's in it a lot. There are some people in this film who are in it a lot, and some people who are in it not at all. Hightower is barely in it. Steve
Hightower,
Gutenberg is
Tackleberry.
barely
We
in
don't
it.
even talk about Tackleberry. He's like just-
Tackleberry, yeah.
And what do you call her? Little voicey woman.
I think she
Hooks.
has 5 lines.
Aye.
She's barely in it. Does old squeaky Hooks? Aye,
Looks high.
barely in it. She literally she does the bit with the helium,
Yeah.
which is not even her. It's the other girl, and that's it. She's not in the film outside
Did
of
she
that.
even say her catchphrase?
What's her catchphrase?
She'll come up to Guy and say, "Don't move, dirtbag," but in
No.
a really,
No, she didn't even do that in this one.
Definitely never says
she
that.
does it in all the other films
Yeah.
apart from this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Fucking
yeah.
hell, I didn't even notice that.
Whereas Zed is in it all the time. They set
Yeah,
up a
this movie.
storyline for Tackleberry, and then it's not him; it's the old woman that does it. He's
Yeah.
barely involved in her either. If
Oh,
it's
that was
Captain
another thing.
Harris, is in it a
Everybody's
lot.
just the same characters are coming back. Kyle and Arnie are Mahoney and Jones. House is Hightower because he's a big guy, and Mrs. Feldman is Tackleberry because she's a gun nut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All the same characters are just coming back rehashed.
Yeah, and then
But we must
taking
state
a bit
one
of screen
thing.
time away.
Tackleberry is Carswell.
Okay.
Just throwing that in there for people that knew us back in the past, because 100% Carswell.
Another low point. The fist fight at the dinner table. That's 5 minutes of my life I'm not getting back.
But good quotas for Chris later on in his stats.
Fair enough. Yeah. We'll come on to that, I'm sure.
I reckon Chris has forgot his quotas.
Maybe. Okay, low point. I'm halfway through the film in my notes. I've written here. I'm halfway through. And the film so far has been nothing but one note, obvious, unfunny jokes, most of which don't mean anything to the overall plot of the film. And so that's when I snapped, was about the 45-minute mark, I think.
You sound exactly like your dad.
Do I?
It's exactly how I imagine your dad's going to be reviewing this if he does even bother watching it.
I guarantee you he does not see Police Academy 4. Yeah, it's just, we've got this idea, plonk that in the film. We've got this idea, okay, we'll invent that character for that one scene and we'll do it. And it's like, it's the point where I think the 5th time in a row it went to a scene, and I don't know, before a minute of the scene had expired, I knew what the punchline was going to be, which is, big gun, she's going to go flying backwards. It's like, balloons, he's going to have a squeaky voice.
I bet you didn't see like the big guy in the moped though carrying it. I didn't see that joke coming.
Carrying what? Sorry?
The big guy when he drives in his little moped and he gets up and says, it's back there, he picks it up and walks it.
No, I didn't see that. But then again, that's probably one of the unfunny jokes.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, okay. Like,
I can't remember. Was it Suburban Commando? You said it was just like one skit after another.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is what this bit does. The Academy is just one funny, funny on funny, depending on your take.
One punch
skit
line.
after another. Yeah, punchline. That's the word.
It's become sketch comedy, but then that's kind of what this is. Suburban Commando is not that. Suburban Commando is meant to be like a family movie, whereas this is, here's an ensemble cast. You know the characters, and actually the film does a good job of, here's very quickly in the first scene what everybody's like. Actually, that scene where they're all grouped round and he's playing golf and they're all ducking, kind of within one sentence for each character explains what they're like, which is very good. But at that point, I was just like, I'm getting bored here of these, like knowing, like I roll after I start hurting because you're rolling your eyes at the punchline of every single scene for a while, and then it gets back to the film again after a while, which is better.
But for me, my main low point in this film is there is no story to this film. Like, there's a bit that's like, right, okay, citizens on patrol. And that kind of goes off in, like, Captain Harris has his own thing because he wants to thingy it. But then you've got the Sard that's away over trying to explain the COP thing, but then brings everybody back anyway. But then you have
Sorry, he goes away to London, and I'm positive the whole point of that was so he could bring some Asian men back to be on the other side of a kung fu fight on a boat at one point in this film. And that's the only reason he went overseas, was to explain why there's another bunch of Asian people in the film to fight the ninjas.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like that all happens, and then it's like, right, okay. It's like there is still no bad guy here. It's like, all right, maybe David Spade's going to turn or something like that. It's like there's nothing, and then suddenly, all right, jail cell. We need to do a story now. Let's get the money. This is the biggest problem that all police academies really have.
Yeah, I was just going to say the first one's the same.
Is to do this. There's no bad guy. There's no bad guy. The last 10 minutes of the film, shit, we need a bad guy so the cops can actually be cops now.
Yeah.
I guess the problem always is, I assume, that Captain Harris is the villain.
Yeah.
But he's still a police officer, so he can't be the villain. It has to be
every single time. It's the
airdrop
biggest police academy plot holes is that.
Yeah.
Which he should have been fired years and years ago.
Probably. I don't know. I feel like he's doing his job quite well. Like,
I did like when he actually tried to chase the skateboarders, and he's like climbing the fence. It's like, because normally a guy wouldn't bother doing that.
Yeah. I have one more low point.
I've got one more as well.
Do you want to hit with yours then, Chris?
Mine is the ending.
Yes.
Yep.
It's like, since when does everybody know how to fly a plane?
Actually, what the hell was the ending of this film? I'm sorry. It's just like, we could get an airstrip for a day. Perfect. We'll put that in the film.
The reason that is because in the one beforehand they had like this big ending where everyone just ride about in jet skis chasing people.
Jet skis and the big things with the fans in the back and stuff like that.
Hovercraft?
Yeah, the hovercraft type things.
I think that's 5.
Is that 5?
Miami.
I was it. Yeah,
again, there's
they're all
the
the same.
Police Academy 5 now.
Yeah.
It's
But-
like the Marvel has to have a big CGI battle at the end. Police Academy needs to have a chase, if you want to call
Yeah.
it that, in some
Yeah.
kind of vehicle.
But the whole thing, it's just like, right, everybody's in a plane. They all know how to fly planes. That's part of police training.
Including Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
She does nothing through this whole film, and then out of nowhere, I can fly a plane. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm a journalist. Oh yeah, I could fly what do you call them, a biplane.
But also, maybe some of our listeners will explain it. Your dad's probably a good one, right? So, like, when you fly one of these biplanes like the Red Baron and that, do you always have to wear the white scarf that flies at the back? Because it seems like
I
it was
don't think
part
the big
of like a
jacket-
uniform. It's like that's more important than the fucking parachutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Which don't get me started on the parachutes, which appear then disappear on people at all times during this thing. It's like you have Tackleberry jumps out of the plane
without a parachute.
with a parachute, but then it switches. Then he doesn't have a parachute when he lands on the thing.
Yeah.
So you could quite clearly tell it's like, right, this is a stunt guy. He's got to obviously have a parachute.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just fed up of his family just beating the shit out of each other. He's like, I'm gonna jump. If I die, I die. If I make it, I make it.
But
What
it's-
is there to
it was
lose?
just the whole thing with he's got a parachute. He doesn't have a parachute.
Yeah.
That's definitely got a parachute. Then suddenly cuts away. No, he's not got a parachute. It's like, what's going on? But yeah, the whole thing was just bad.
Yeah, bad, terrible. I'll be honest, I can't even actually remember what happened. I stopped paying attention. I was just so like, oh, what is this? Like hot air balloons and planes and this isn't Police Academy. What is this?
This is what I always remember for Police Academy is the plane.
It generally is the one I remember. I remember it being a lot better. But yeah, just to have two random bad guys that escape jail, they know how to fly a plane as well, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I know how to get away. We'll go to this air show and steal a biplane. That'll be the
Yeah.
best way to get away.
Or steal the slowest moving transport in the world, a hot air balloon that just goes
Hot air balloons.
Yeah, like they didn't even have to chase after them. They could have just looked at it. It's like, right, we'll just wait till that comes down at some stage. Let's follow it.
Well,
Yeah,
on the
just-
ground, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that
yeah,
was
actually, before this, another scene that did annoy me was the ninja scene on the boat. Because why were all the ninjas running to the Mortal Kombat boat unless they were late for the tournament?
That's what it was, yeah. Yeah, very good.
But it just seemed all a bit excessive. And how big a range does that golf cart have as well that Lazar
Yeah,
had?
yeah. Lazar. I wonder if ninjas were big in like the mid-80s and they're like, oh, we need to like skateboards, ninjas, we need to get into
Yeah, but, like, how much-
hot air balloons.
I don't remember like I've not seen a Netflix documentary about the great American ninja crimes. Like were ninjas like stealing VCRs of that back in the 80s?
Oh god. Right, I'm out of low points.
Me too.
surprisingly. Right, we'll crack on. Point 4 on the podcast is our stats. There were 3 shits in the film. I'm actually surprised that there was 3 shits. No F-bombs.
Is that including Thingy taking one?
And it wasn't. No, did he though? I'm not sure if he did. He was in there for
Bring
ages.
it back when people do the toilet, Andy.
It seems to be coming back with our comedies that we've had recently. And I'm not going to go through one, but we pretty much shut out every other category that I cover here. This is 0. No explosions. I thought there was going to be at least one explosion somewhere. He shot the hot air balloon, but it didn't explode. It just kind of deflated. And no deaths either. Nobody died somehow.
We had the Red Baron.
What do you mean the Red Baron?
That was a Nazi thing, wasn't it?
I don't think
Or
so.
World War One, I think.
And also,
Yeah.
like, he's not in the film, so it's not Nazi.
Oh, was it a Nazi vehicle?
Well, if you want to include that, you can. So yeah, everything else shut out. However, Tom Cruise trifecta. Does Tackleberry count? Because he definitely runs. He most
Yep.
definitely rides a motorcycle, and well, he's married, so he gets the
Yeah.
girl. Or if he really wanted to,
Yep,
oh,
he gets
Mrs.
his-
Feldman.
Yeah, gets Feldman.
Mrs. Feldman's wanting it. So,
He is married to the woman in the family, like that family. But yeah, he is our first Tom Cruise trifecta. I think.
I think Tackleberry might be. Well, it might have to be the Tackleberry trifecta. Probably, but yeah, he does all 3. Do they say the thing? Do they say Police Academy?
Yes.
Yeah, but not Citizen. No, they do. Not all in
No,
one
they
go.
say just Academy.
They just say the Academy all the
Right.
time, but never say Police Academy. Do they say the thing Citizens on Patrol?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 18 times. The first thing said in the film is in the first line of the song. Citizens on Patrol is the first word said. So that's inside a minute. And the first time someone says it is 3.5 minutes, but 18 in total. That's including the song at the end. Because I realised, oh god, the song's back on, and I have to go wind back and start counting them through the song as well. So yeah, 18 times Citizens on Patrol, but no police academies. Chris, any stats from you?
Yeah, like there was 3 nut shots is what I carried. So if I don't know what the other one that Andy's talking about.
There was a big tussle and there was a nut shot.
There you go.
I'm sure he punched him in the nuts in that scene?
Oh, well, there was one Sweet Chuck got a club in the balls.
Aye.
I can't remember the second one. Oh no, it was Harris getting bitten in the balls by Clarence.
The dog.
Aye,
Yeah.
the dog.
The dog.
And then
Sorry, hang on. The dog. Right. It's Hightower's dog. He brings it with him to the police academy one day. It's not a police dog. It's his dog. It
Well, I
bites
think it might be
Harris in the
his dog.
balls, and then this can't be here. Sharon Stone, I'll have him, and then keeps him, and that's it. Does the dog come back? I don't remember the dog coming back.
He gets threatened to come back.
Yeah, exactly. They introduced a dog just to bite Harris in the balls in this film, and that's it. That was the purpose for that dog being in this film. Oh,
yeah, and the third one is when Jones hits one of the ninjas in the nuts with Bitterwood. But my other one is quite a sad one. There's like a lot of people that have died in the Police Academy films. There's like Hightower, Tackleberry, Hooks, Lassard, Mrs. Feldman, House, and Mr. Kirkland.
Oh,
Probably more. There's a lot of uncredited one.
yeah, that's sad. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
30 years ago nearly, 25
It
years
is.
ago.
A lot of them. Tackleberry was quite young. He's like 50 or something.
Yeah, he was definitely young. Is that you then, Chris?
Yeah.
Not you. Okay. Time for the 10-point podcast quiz. I very much enjoyed last week, so let's see what I've got for us this week.
Right, this one, I was originally going to do like a Police Academy quiz, so like the entry quiz. However, I found it's quite hard and mostly American, and you guys would never know.
Right.
So I decided I'll still make it quite American, but a bit more common things you might know about the police forces.
Okay.
God.
So who wants to go first?
I always like Chris pick because he's the conspiracy theorist.
You can see him thinking right now. He's looking at the quiz. Okay.
No, I was looking at what my quiz is called.
Right, I'll
this
go
is-
second.
So this quiz is called the Academies of Police Abbreviations.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
So Bruce is going first because Chris nominated him. So Bruce starts off with a nice and easy, simple one.
Okay.
What does FBI stand for?
I could have answered this question before you asked it. I could have said Federal Bureau of Investigation before you. When you said abbreviations, I was going to go FBI. Yes.
Yep.
Female baby inspector, actually.
Nice and easy. Right. What does somebody do for a living if they are in the CIA? Chris.
They're like central intelligence, like higher up than I don't know. They're a central intelligence agent.
Yes, I'll give you that.
I was wondering why you're going for that. I was just like,
I
Was
was
he
I just
secret agent. Is that what it is?
secret agent.
Right. Okay.
Right, Bruce. What does BJ's stand for? That
As in,
is
is it BJS?
BJS.
Right. Okay.
that's not how you say.
And it's to do with the police, is it?
Yeah, like the forces.
Right. Forces. Bomb disposal squad.
It's not the bomb disposal squad.
No, damn.
What was it? BGS.
BJ's.
Blue jerseys.
What the fuck is a blue jersey?
Well, the top, like.
Is it like a yellow jacket?
All right, no. It's the Bureau of Justice and Statistics.
Oh,
okay.
doesn't sound like the police, but fair enough.
Chris, in which state would you find the LAPD?
Trying to think what the state's called.
Pressure.
I
Looking like a
can't-
fool.
I'm gonna say Miami. I can't think of what it's not Miami.
All right. I thought he was
that's
gonna fall.
actually-
I thought instantly he was going to fall for the trap. of my
Yeah,
first
exactly.
question,
Yeah.
But he didn't. Bruce,
California.
it is
Is that,
California.
I couldn't
I
think
was
where it's
literally
from.
thought you were going to go Los Angeles.
Literally.
No. I knew Los Angeles isn't the state. I couldn't remember where it was though.
Miami's also not a state, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, it's Florida.
I love these quizzes. It brings out Chris's dumbness. Where were we, Bruce?
I don't work well under pressure.
What is it in America? I'll say it in America. What is a code 4?
Oh, code 4. Code 4. Shoplifting.
It's not shoplifting. Chris?
Is it officer down?
No, it's no further assistance needed.
Ah, so that's all clear basically then.
Yes. Chris? It's complicated. Which department has the most armed federal law enforcement officers and agents, according to a statistic I seen in 2002?
You saw it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The DEA. I don't know if that's the department.
No. Bruce.
I thought it was happening. It was like,
Let's go FDA.
No. It was the Department of Homeland Security.
Ah, yes.
Bruce. What does DEA stand for?
Hey, that's the Drugs Enforcement Agency.
No.
Oh,
Chris, for the steal.
it's
is it?
it's drugs, something, and alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking DFA. It's drugs, firearm, and alcohol.
Nope.
Ah, that's
It
FDA.
was the Drugs Enforcement Administration.
Ah!
They were not an agency, they're an administration, apparently.
Administration, damn them.
Where were Chris or
Chris to go first.
Me.
Chris? What is the location of the headquarters of the Federal Bureau of Prisons?
Of prisons.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say Langley. I don't know.
Not Langley.
Prisons. Let's go like. Is that a town or a? Is that a city?
I'll give you a clue.
Oh.
The capital of the United States, Bruce.
Ah, Washington D.C.
It is the Washington D.C. Yeah.
Ah, very good.
Where we going next?
Me to go first now.
Right.
Bruce, the police wear black, but what colour shirts do they wear?
What is a code 13, Bruce? Another code.
Officer down.
I'm going to give you that one.
Yeah.
Officer in distress.
Ah, that's the same thing.
Chris.
Fuck, so he just find out what was fucking killing.
Next time I get one wrong, give Chris a clue. Then not leaving it up.
Oh well,
So-
right. Who would normally appoint a police commissioner in a large city?
Mayor?
I'll give you it. It was the city mayor.
I'm surprised you're getting it for the fact that it's his city.
The word city was in the
Bruce, I think. Oh, that's 10. What's the scores?
I think 6-2 or something like that.
That wasn't 10 because Chris started, didn't he? No, I started. I'll tell a lie. I started.
Aye,
I won 4-2 if that's the end of the quiz.
Ah.
We'll do a buzzer round just for like. I've got one more question.
One more question. Tiebreaker.
The tiebreak is a buzzer one. So shout your name or buzz or do a bobcat impression. Right. The first line supervisor in an American holds a rank of sergeant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you see on your uniform to tell you this?
Buzz.
Bruce?
Is it 3 stripes on your arm?
I'll
Like
give you
3
that.
chevrons.
3 gold chevrons. Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
There you
That's
go.
what I was surprised to see that Gutenberg was a sergeant because I thought,
Yeah.
but obviously it's the fourth.
I'm
film.
trying
It's
to see.
got-
My phone's covering Harris, but he's a captain, so
Yeah,
it doesn't make it
and
sense.
he's new, isn't he? So
Yeah.
hey, I'll win on the tiebreaker.
Absolutely dominated.
I did. I think I'd have won without the cheat.
Just giving him the answer.
It was though. You had to know that it's the capital of America.
On the point 6 on the podcast, movies and movies. Over to you, Chris, for the 10-point podcast universe. I have got some answers, so I'm looking for you to deliver here, Chris.
Yeah, if you missed some, I've got some too.
Probably missed quite a few, but Steve Gutenberg, obviously Mahoney, was in Cocoon as Jack
Was.
Boner.
Owner.
Michael Winslow as Jones did some Gremlins and Mogwai voices in Gremlins, obviously.
I did not
did.
know that. That was news to me.
Sharon Stone as Claire was in Total Recall as Laurie, which I completely forgot we did. She was also in. Did I? I thought Andy picked it.
I'm sure you picked it.
You picked it. It was your future technology thing.
Yeah.
Correct. Well done. She was also in Last Action Hero, the thing we did as Catherine Trammell.
The unreleased pilot of the podcast that nobody's heard but us.
Brian Toke Nogata. He
Who?
was.
Sorry, can I get confirmation of who that was? Because I'm not 100%.
That was
sure.
the Asian dude with.
He was the
thingy.
one that was getting smothered by Callahan.
Yeah, but okay, where did he come from though? Like, where was he introduced in? The
He was
film?
in Police
He was
Academy
3.
3.
So he's previously in one of the. He's
Yeah,
one
he,
of the
he was like the
police.
foreign exchange student in the
Right.
third one.
Because he's in none of this film until that scene.
Yeah,
I'm
he,
like,
yeah,
who
he
is
was,
this
he was the
guy?
third one.
Right, okay.
Basically, he just came into the third one to do another fight with fucking Jones.
Yeah.
Some ninjas. No.
Yeah, not quite ninjas, but he also did the voice of Leonardo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
He did.
and was an uncredited male soldier in Starship Troopers.
Oh, is he? I didn't see that.
David Spade, Kyle,
Have we done him
What?
before? I didn't have him.
apparently so. He was in Beavis and Butthead, Do America. He was
Ah.
uncredited voices.
Right. Oh, yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
And this is about as far as I went, but Jackie Joseph was Mrs. Kirkland. She was in Gremlins as Mrs. Futterman.
Yep.
Ah,
It's blown his mind.
I did not recognise her. Andy, have you got the
sure
one
I've
that you
missed a
missed?
shit ton.
I don't
I'm
know
sure-
if I got the one he's missed.
Have you got any that you missed?
No, I forgot.
He missed one. I will take us now. We'll fast forward through time to my Danny John Jules Award, which I had.
John
Stone.
Jones was in this.
I had Sharon Stone down at Danny. I had no idea she was a Police Academy movie, and that now has been scored out because it says Tony Hawk next
Tony
to it.
Hawk, yeah.
Because Tony Hawk was one of the skateboarders.
Yep.
Aye.
I don't know he was going to be in this film at all. He was in Triple X as himself.
Triple X.
Was he?
Aye.
Yes.
He's a
Right
skateboarder,
near the
Triple
beginning.
X.
Him and Matt Hoffman are both in it when
Yep.
Vin Diesel's being just I am a stunt guy
I
driving.
didn't even fucking bother looking at him because I didn't think he was in anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Award. That's what I was
Yeah.
good thinking. I've completely when you put pressure on me
Blacked
there.
him out. Sorry. Yeah, I thought that's when you were going to go with it. Yeah, Tony Hawk was one of the skateboarders, which I didn't realize until he skated towards me at the end of the film. Oh my god!
I think he got fired and they kept that scene out because he's not in it for the rest of it.
Yes, he's one of the skateboarders.
Surely he's like.
No, I
David
paused
Spader's
it and I'm
stunt
sure
double.
he looked.
He is
nothing like
definitely one of the
guys.
skateboarders.
Right, fair enough. Have you recast us in the film, Chris?
I kind of struggled with this one a bit. Just because I wanted to, I put myself as Zed.
I'll put you as Ed
Right,
as well.
definitely.
I'm not the greatest at public speaking.
You noticed.
I put Andy as Captain Harris. And then, well, it doesn't make sense because Andy's already named Carsey as Tackleberry, but I put Bruce as Tackleberry.
I had Andy as Tackleberry. I thought that the similar sort of sensibilities, the two of them, the wanting to have guns might be what
I
There
like
is that, but no, Carswell was definitely Tackleberry back in the X-Fest days.
Right, okay. I cheaped out and put myself as Mahoney just because he doesn't have any characteristics. He's just
If
that
you can make
guy.
a voice, I can make it Jones.
I can't.
I'll
unfortunately.
do random stuff.
Andy, have you done any recasting? Nope. Fair enough.
Impossible.
It really is. It
Can't do
really-
it.
Although they are making a series, apparently. There's a revival. So
Yeah, but Michael Winslow's like leading that up, I think, apparently as well.
I don't know how
And
many
he's
of them.
one of the few people who's been in all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's three. It's him. I think obviously the Lassard, but he won't be in it anymore because he's passed away. And there was one other, Tackleberry. It might have been all of them. And obviously he's dead
I
as-
think he made an appearance in the series.
So I think Winslow is the mainstay, unfortunately. Okay. I didn't do the film references. There weren't too many, but Jason was from Friday the 13th was in it. Could this film have come out in 1995? Absolutely not. It could not have come out in 1995 because Police Academy 7 came out in 1994 and absolutely bombed. Like, painful looking at the numbers.
Police Academy 7 is one I remember. That's the first time I remember Ron Perlman.
Yep.
Who else is it? Christopher Lee's in it. I remember bits of it.
Yes. Chris Lee, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, yes, it lost millions of pounds the mission to Moscow. So after that, no, Police Academy was done. Done for 20 odd years, clearly, 30 years nearly. Dead Man Walking. I didn't think anyone would die, but the way Mrs. Feldman was carrying on, she was. I don't think one way or another. Who's in the wrong movie? Well, half of them.
Sharon Stone.
Your man himself, Zed, was a leading nominee because it just feels like a different film. But it is Sharon Stone. Like her character doesn't fit. She, not yet a superstar, doesn't really fit either. And she can fly a biplane and all this random stuff. She's a made-up person, doesn't exist. And what happens next? Well, another 3 films happen next. There's no point in me hypothesizing any further than a Police Academy. So what's 5? What's the tagline?
Mission to Miami.
That's Miami.
Next one's the first one without Mahoney, but he gets replaced by Lassard's nephew Nick,
Right.
who then
That's-
comes back to
Is
do
that
other
a famous
films.
person or is it like?
He's famous, but I couldn't tell you who he is. His name
He's
doesn't
not
ring a
famous
bell.
then.
And then what's 6? Because 7's Mission to Moscow.
City Under Siege.
That was it, yeah.
Right. Okay. So that like Die Hard 3, but Police
Pretty
Academy.
much. It's like Predator 2.
Right. Oh god. Right. Oh my god. Can you imagine? Right. Anyway, point 7 on the podcast: the tropes that need to die. I'll lead off just by saying the whole film is tropes. Like everything in this film is just a gimmick. But I'm just going to go for whatever Zed's love story is, that sort of thing where wacky weirdo guy has a beautiful woman fall for him despite the fact that he's an absolute psychopath that should be stayed away from. So that needs to go.
That's like Chris got his wife.
It works for some. Yeah, my one is like over the top stunts that are completely unnecessary, like Tackleberry jumping from a plane.
I was going to say jumping on a whole airplane.
Yeah, without a parachute or with a parachute, whatever.
It
is
was
like,
it was without it, then had one, then didn't have
Then
one.
without it,
Depending on
yeah.
what cut you got.
the same thing happened in the third one. They would like the film's happening, and then they thought, "Do you know what? We'll go on fucking jet skis and chase people down." And there's like jumps and stuff like that. It's just unnecessary stunts that don't do anything.
Okay.
Needs to die.
And Andy, what's your trope?
Mine was a very similar one to last week's, which was when things are hot, don't have fake steam coming out of them. Because I'm pretty sure if you mace your armpits, I don't think it would catch
Yeah.
fire like that.
I forgot that was a high point. I forgot to mention that. That was one of my few high points, and I missed it. Swapping the deodorant for the mace was brilliant. I like that. That was really good.
But I still don't think it would catch your arms on fire, and then you'd have to
No.
go in a cast like this for ages.
Which is why I think it's a great gag. It's a great prank to pull on someone, is swapping deodorant for mace. Oh, I'm annoyed. I missed. That was like one of like 5 things I've written for high points, and I forgot it. Yeah, thank you, Andy. Point 8 on the podcast is our nominations for the Pointy Awards, which is going to be an epic this year. The Pointy Awards, honestly.
It's all over the shop, isn't it?
It's going to be something. I'm going to have to troll through 6 months worth of podcasts to compile. I mean, sorry, the Academy of the 10-Point Podcast has to troll through 6 months of this. Chris, you lead off with our nominees, and we argue and disagree with you.
There's going to be a lot of disagreement, I think. My best actor is
Black.
G.W. Bailey.
It's him.
Captain
I'm
Harris.
him as supporting because it's so hard to have a leading actor from this film. I think he's not in it enough to be. He's in more scenes than anyone, I think. But I had him as best supporting. He is good, and I enjoyed him. So I second the motion to nominate him.
Sure, biased. I put Bobcat Goldthwait as best supporting. You can veto that if you want.
It's a theme.
Yeah, it's your theme. I think
Best
it's
unattainable theme. Of
Yeah.
Goldthwait.
absolutely impossible to guess theme.
Okay.
No, I'm not having that. We can, I don't know, agree to disagree, and we'll take Captain Harris nominated. one.
I'll allow that. My worst plan was Tackle Bear jumping out of a plane without a parachute.
We'll do that. I'm happy
What
with
was
that.
What was Andy's best plan?
Simon Says.
That was it.
Simon says.
That would be a good one.
I've got worst plan as what is the whole point of the citizens on patrol? Like, why not just get some more police officers? Like,
It's
I
the
don't-
same thing in
just-
the UK. You get special
Yeah.
constables. They don't get paid, and they basically just tell them to go and do things and shit like that.
Is it not just like Neighbourhood Watch? You're like,
Neighbourhood
look out the window
Watch,
and
yeah,
be
pretty
like,
much the same
oh,
thing.
there you go.
If someone
Some
mentioned that in the
guys-
film, and they're like, "Oh, it's better than that," though. But it's like, well, what is it? They're not police officers, but they're also not police officers. Like, I just don't quite understand. So that was the plan that was annoying.
The
me.
community police officers, they're the shit ones.
Right.
They don't have
okay.
any powers, but they get to wear like a hat every now and then.
Yeah, or a little
yeah.
orange sash.
Yeah. Jumping out a hot air balloon with no parachute's fine by me. I'll take that.
My Danny John Jules was Tony Hawk because I've watched it done many times and never seen him once until at the very end.
Yeah.
It's going down the hill or whatever it was. My best line was like I just said the whole reason I picked this film was like, Mickey, he's dead. He killed him.
It makes
Fair
no
enough.
sense, but like it stuck with me for all my life.
Yeah.
That was like, what, 15, 16 years ago. It was so long ago.
That's the only reason I picked this film is because
Mickey.
Because
Yeah.
I knew it was coming when he said it. I was like, and Chantel was just like, why did you pick this film? I was like, oh, it's The Watch.
it's the one with the watch.
My best entrance, I put Zed entering the meeting and getting a golf ball in the mouth. You can't get any better than
Oh, God.
Okay.
that. My worst cop, I put Proctor.
I had both best and worst cop blank but highlighted because I think it needs to be determined. I think you're probably right with Proctor. I can't think of anyone who's worse than Proctor.
I couldn't differentiate a best cop though. Like
Yeah.
you said before, like Mahoney is probably the most sensible cop.
But he does the least police
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
I think. So I don't know. Is it maybe Hightower? Is he
Mm,
maybe the best cop?
I don't know. I'm gonna go for Captain Harris.
I say
Just 'cause I like
Harris.
Captain
Because he
Harris.
actually chased bad guys in this film.
Yeah.
There we go. Captain Harris, best cop. Yeah.
Best song was the Police Academy theme, but I will concede to Citizens on Patrol.
Nah, it's a Police Academy theme. That's
Good.
the correct answer.
The most pornographic is Callahan's Bit T-shirt.
I think we've got that down as a nominee, but fair enough. Okay, as a category. But yeah, okay.
And her fucking smothering the guy with her legs.
Chris
Best.
is living out his childhood again.
Oh, dude, I loved Callahan. Best product placement, I put Adidas. They're all wearing Adidas.
Oh, they did. That's
Oh,
not what I
yeah,
picked up.
good
though.
shout. It's
And
not
like
me-
their
not me either.
trainers is Adidas as well.
Never noticed that.
What's in my nominee is wagon wheels. Because in the warehouse where they were taking photographs, there was a box that had wagon wheels,
There
and
was
it
a
was
box.
it was the biscuit. I'm like, oh my god, wagon wheels!
That was there, but my one was when they just went like this and put a can of Gillette's shaving foam.
Right, yeah.
And it was just
Yeah.
there for so long. It was just like Gillette shaving foam.
Even so, I even noticed as well. I thought something funny was going to because when Zed walks past, you can see they've slowed it down so that there's more screen time from the
Yeah.
Gillette can as well. Because he wasn't walking at normal pace; it was kind of stuttering. Yeah, I'm happy to go with Gillette. I think this is a good shout though. I forgot about that.
But I didn't notice it, so.
Yeah.
I think that's me.
Okay, we've done best cop. You missed a couple, I think. Best villain, Captain Harris. I'm saying he's the villain, and he was the best.
No, I
at
see.
being the villain.
I'd say he's maybe biggest bellend, but I wouldn't say he's a villain.
He's probably, I think he's maybe both. He's probably the best villain and also the biggest bell end in the film, I think. Although,
Nah.
in reality, I'd probably find Mahoney being the biggest bell end.
Yes.
In
Put one of
honesty.
your own police officers in a stadium while having a shit.
Yeah.
That, like, having a shit is sacred. You shouldn't be doing shit like that.
I forgot about Andy's
you know what?
fascination.
It's never going to happen, but that's why I don't like going in the porta cabins, just in case it gets fucking hoisted.
I've got a belter of a porta cabin story that one listener will definitely remember.
Is this when
but
Mel tipped one over?
It's not. I will tell the story off air, but it was a hilarious story. Best voice work. We don't get that very often. Michael Winslow.
Yeah,
But,
Is that a
Is
Russell
that?
category?
it was at one point. That's when we did animated things. It usually comes
Yeah.
into it, or Bruce
I'll take
Willis. Look who's talking. But yeah, Michael Winslow best voice work. Stupidest character. I actually couldn't narrow it down. It might be Proctor again, but I mean most of them. Maybe Zed's all right. So yeah, it might be Proctor again, unfortunately.
Zed's.
Worst acting, or is it just actually least care? Steve Guttenberg. I feel like he doesn't actually try to do
Oh,
Okay,
anything.
phones it in this one.
He
Yeah,
definitely does.
absolutely takes the money. So nominate him. Worst father figure. Well, Tackleberry's father-in-law absolutely beats the shit out of his son.
I
Yep.
completely forgot about that.
Yeah, go for that. I've done that one, and I'll leave the last one because I don't think it's fair to call that one out. So I think that's me. Any others from you, Andy?
No, I ain't covered.
Okay. On to point 9, the moral of the story. Why don't you start with your version?
Never touch a man's balls without asking.
Andy, what's your
Yep,
moral of the
same.
story? Right, okay.
As
I'm
soon as
happy.
that happened, I was like, boom. That's
Yeah,
it.
I was the same. I was like, yeah, that's good advice.
I've just got police are idiots. That's what I've got. Is the moral of the story. But yeah, the balls one rings true, I would say. Point 10 on the 10-point podcast. We rate the film out of 10. Chris, you get to go first.
What you don't notice when you're a kid is how Police Academy 4 is just a rehash of all the previous films.
I think it's why I don't know what I've seen, because 4 of them are the same. Or
3 and
of them
4
are-
confuse me because obviously Zed's in a police uniform at some point and he's not. He's in like the red things sometimes and he's not, and he's in the same in this one. So I get confused between 3 and 4, which is why when I said I need to make sure which one I pick. Otherwise, it's just I'm not.
It was funny because I was like, when I seen it, I was like, I think it's 3 with the watch because I didn't see where the watch, and I was like, oh, it's swimming pool. And I seen a little red band. I was like, no, I did pick the right one.
Like I don't, like I said, the only reason I picked this film is because of Bobcat Goldthwait, because he's using one, and unfortunately he can't save it from anything higher than a 4.
Do you have any like fandom for old Bobcat outside of this film, or is it purely
No, I liked him, and I've seen a few of his some of his stand up,
right stand-up comedy? Okay, cool.
and I was going to do like a little fun fact thing, but he was on like Jay Leno or something like that. And he set a couch on fire because he was bored.
Okay.
Seems like Chris's type of guy.
It does
Yeah.
seem like a fire starter. I'll say that, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just he's like zany. So, but yeah, he can't save it from anything higher than a 4.
4 from Chris. Andy, I've got you next because I was sure you would have seen it, whereas I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if I'd seen
It's utterly pish.
it.
Like, as the police academies go on.
Get that on the DVD cover.
Yeah, as the police academies go on, they get shitter. So they are.
Yeah.
1's all right. 2's okay. 3 is pretty much where Max is out. They should have maybe just left it as a trilogy.
Mm.
And then after that, they just get shitter and shitter. So it gets a 2.
Oh, a 2 from Andy. I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised by this film. I wasn't. But it is watchable. Like, I think at this point I have given a 1 out of 10 is an unwatchable film, i.e., maybe not even Scanner Darkly. I think it was better than 1. But like, what do you call it? Imaginarium was a 1 because it's unfollowed. But this is actually, there are some funny bits and some good performances, so it gets a 2 out of 10 for me. And it's lucky that I've built this sort of scale in mind that it's not absolutely unwatchable. I never paused and thought I can't carry on. I've never thought I'll have to come back to it because that's happened with some films. This one, I was halfway through. I'm like, this is hard, but I'm still here. I'm still going. So a grand total of that, it basically absolutely skin of teeth scrapes a 3 out of 10 because Chris gave it a 4, I think. So officially, the 4th Police Academy movie is a 3.
My next season, there's not really a theme, so I'm going to pick something else.
I was going to say, because you need to stay away from themes, because
you've won. You defeated us.
I wanted to do something different, because what was the one I was going to do? Our names, and I just went, boom, that's it, first time. So I've been trying to do obscure themes.
Because you started off with District 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the obvious one, yeah. I still feel like Andy actually gave you an absolutely amazing theme for the season that you then stuck to as well.
I know, unintentionally.
It has, hasn't it, all the way through?
Yeah, it was every film begins with the letter. The film is based on a job or a role that begins with the same letter as the film does, which
Clerks,
is
Police,
it was just
Academy,
all begin with a C.
Yeah.
City Slickers, Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cops,
Con Man, Catch Me If You Can.
Con Man,
And what
that was unintentional.
Yeah.
And they were all unintentional comedies.
Waiting's Cooks.
Yeah. Waiting's Cooks. And they all begin with C because you go cops, chefs, and all that stuff as well. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Anyway, that
was the true theme.
Yeah, that was the true theme. It
would have been a better one.
The guessable one. And this will be the high point of Bobcat Goldthwait's career, I imagine.
He's coming back. I tell you, he's getting the Brendan Fraser treatment. Hopefully.
So next
Hopefully
time, next time is me. I am themeless. I enjoyed this season, Chris, because I was themeless. So you may enjoy next season as well. However, because The Shining came up randomly, it gave me an open slot.
I know. The last time Bruce had an open slot, we got the room.
That was the room. Nah, the room was planned.
Yes.
The room was coming for many, 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 many years. This one was not coming for many, many, many years. This has just been a divergence in many different directions has led me to picking the film this week. You will not thank me because the film is 2 hours 45 minutes long. Is the film we're watching this week? It is a sci-fi action adventure from 2009, and it's going to save us a lot of kind of spare time. It's Avatar. As in the original Avatar.
That's fine. I was going to originally watch that, so I'm okay with that.
Same for me. The new one's coming out. I really want to watch this one. This gives me a reason to watch it and not have to squeeze it in outside of another film that I have to watch this week. And I think it'll be good for us to have a refresher because I, as we discussed, can't remember really what happened in the first one. And it means we'll be primed for Avatar 2 coming out.
And also, while we're on this, since it's quite a long film, right? Can my last pick be semi-controversial?
Well, yeah, you were saying my pick was controversial, so how controversial is yours?
Well, it'll be a podcast first if I get away with it.
Right. Well, we can maybe discuss it off air if you want.
Nope. That's a binding contract. We're going with it now. It's fine.
Right. If it is a film, you're allowed to pick it. I think that was the only rules we came up with was it had to be a film, and then you were like, it has to be English, but then Chris broke up rules, so that's kind of still hanging.
Good, because I'm
unintentionally because I didn't realise there was a non-dubbed version. Or well, the version I picked I thought was going to be dubbed, but
it's fine. The last two films are going to be banging. We've got Avatar and we've got my pick.
And whatever Andy's got. So yes, Avatar. It's on Disney Plus for everyone.
Oh, your film fits my theme.
It does fit your theme. Okay, is it blue people? Is it came from outer space? I'm sure it came from outer space.
You keep saying that I nearly got it, but I'm sure I went back and listened. I said animals, or nearly said animals. So I don't know if you're getting yourself confused.
Nope, I'm not.
Anyway, that's for next week or 2 weeks time.
Avatar.
Right, next week's Avatar. You can all go find it over the next week. Disney Plus or Blu-rays, like everyone has it on Blu-ray one way or another. And we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.